Hello, guys. It is Rachel Feldman. I am going to dive in today to a question that so many coaches have been asking me. What are the essentials of building a wellness biz? I know it can get extremely confusing in a world of marketing, digital marketing, and a lot of different approaches and strategies to building your business. It's why when people come into my membership or they buy a program at yourhealthcoachbiz.com, or they even email me and say, Rachel, I'm either not making money or I don't know where to start. How do you do a workshop? How do you create your freebies? I don't even know what my people want. That's why in today's training, we're going to talk about the 3 fundamentals of building what I call your whole wellness business funnel. So if you have any questions about additional trainings, go to rachelafeldman.com, go to the Start Here page, and you will see additional trainings on how do you even build your work with me page, etc. But today we're going to even dive into how do you pick the right offers, the right workshops, and the right freebies to attract your ideal client. The 3 essentials. Step number 1 is, before we even jump into the freebies, the workshops, and your offers, I want you to write down this moment because we're diving in to niche clarity and how do you build your business in my free group this whole month. Number 1, my niche is, and it may be, let's just take an example like Megan Rand. When she first bought a detox from us, I want to say back in 2013, she knew that she wanted to focus on hormones. She had attended IN. She knew that she wanted to talk about toxin-free living. She knew that detoxification was an essential method for her in her business to teach other moms just like herself about the essentials to bringing up and raising healthy children, and also the essentials to really being healthy as a person in this modern world, specifically women. So if you are just struggling for my niche is, I'm going to say this very clearly. Many coaches make the mistake, and I've done this before, where I build my entire business around what I want it to be versus what people are coming to me for. So I'm going to just give a simple example. You may want to build your entire business, and I think of Sylvia in my membership, and we're talking about offers this month. And she said when she first came into the membership, wow, I've been doing this wrong. I've been pushing hormones, and yet my ideal client, she constantly comes to me and asks for weight loss, but I'm not a weight loss coach. I said, Sylvia, I can't tell you how many times I see this in every niche: mindset, ketogenic, paleo, primal, hormone, raw, detox. Whoever you're serving, we build the business around where we know that we build our business around the steps that we know our ideal client should take to get better, but we don't listen enough especially in the beginning years or in the growth time of your business where you're up leveling and maybe you're even doing a little rebranding. I said, I know you want to focus on hormones, and that's where you know your lady needs to go. She needs to focus on hormones. It's her blood sugar. But what are people coming to you for? And she said, weight. So I said to her, great, give them what they want, but lead them down the path of what they really need. So if we look at the example of him and Sylvia with the weight, she's like, you know what? Maybe I've been messaging this incorrectly. Maybe my woman, she does know basic verbiage like thyroid and hormone imbalances, but she's not understanding words like estrogen dominance and perimenopause and some of the very specifics, niche down topics that we often find ourselves speaking to our ideal client. And then our ideal client is confused because she's really wanting information on weight. And what we can educate her on is endocrine disruptors, blood sugar, cortisol level. Similar to Megan Rand's approach, detoxification, the detoxification phases, heavy metals. We have to educate our clients, which is why we come back to the 3 elements. The freebies and our workshops are the educational tools for your ideal client to understand what it will be like to work with you. I say signature because I 100% believe, not only because it was essential for my business, but it's essential for thousands of coaches that I've seen who actually have success. They test with different, what I call test freebies. And they test with different workshops that can be used as lives, training series, pre-recorded videos, videos on YouTube that actually build SEO, which is search engine optimization. People don't just find your blog. They find your blog because you're building on platforms like Pinterest, which is an SEO machine, YouTube, so that you're not just depending and putting all your eggs in one basket and hoping that somebody just organically is going to land on your Instagram, or hoping that you got the right hashtags or the algorithms. That is important too, to learn where your ideal client is hanging out. Write that down. You have to know your niche, step 1. You have to know where your ideal client is hanging out so that when you are promoting your freebies, your workshops, and more importantly, testing your ideal client and what they really need and want, and even their level of understanding about what you even do, you have solid places for them to come back. Let me reiterate that in a different way, because I know everything that I just said can sound complicated. So let's say that this person who has all these hormonal issues, she's searching weight loss. She's intentionally searching, which means that she's on Google, which relates to YouTube. She may even be going to Pinterest, because I would say a lot of people are visual. And so she goes to Pinterest. She happens to find a blog that has a pin that says 5 weight loss recipes to boost metabolism. She finds another pin that says the top reasons you have, 5 top reasons you have unexplained weight gain. Let's just stay on those 2 topics. Both of those are blogs. The reason that a blog really is a great place to showcase your real estate, which is your business, is because Elizabeth is on Pinterest or on YouTube and she's searching. She's searching intentionally for unexplained weight gain. She's been told she has food intolerances, that she's got some thyroid issues, her hair's falling out. She's got all these symptoms. And so she's searching to figure this out. Every one of us as humans do this. This is the habit of the human. This is also the habits of your ideal client. Is she the researcher? Is she the one who endlessly researches like you? Or does she research and then she gets frustrated, overwhelmed, and quit? Doesn't mean she isn't committed. It means that she just feels overwhelmed. So she's searching and she finds that pin because she's on Pinterest looking for unexplained weight loss. And the other one is looking for specifically the other pin that I mentioned. At the same time, because you have your workshops and you've decided 3 workshops that really feature what your ideal client is looking for, because you've either been in her shoes. Most of you have lived this life of either pain and frustration, and your first taste was not going to school, no matter what school you've attended. You've lived this journey, you've lived this experience for your either whole life, and you're aware of your body. And so you are the one that says, no, it's not just the thyroid. Let me look at the root problems. because naturally you either think that way or you've been inspired by the people that when you were searching, you found them. And I'm sure you found either a blog. Drop below what you found. Write it down even for yourself. Did you find a blog? Did you listen to a podcast? Did you find an audio? Maybe it was hosted on SoundCloud. Who are the people that you have looked to as mentors? How did they deliver information to you? Did you attend a webinar? Did you attend a live in a group or on a page? Did somebody tag you on an Instagram post? Or maybe you saw an Insta story or Facebook story. Did you sign up for a masterclass training? Where did you find it? Did you find it on Facebook ads? Did it happen to be a pop-up on a website? Where did you find these list building opportunities? Free? And then what brought you to paid? When we start to step back and depersonalize from our business and stop saying, but I wanted to create this whole business on hormones. Just as I said to Sylvia, and just as Megan figured out in her own path, she figured out what her ideal client wants. And that podcast on exactly how Megan built her authority with 0 following on Instagram to now 300 to 500 plus likes is at rachelafeldman.com/podcast Megan Rand. For Sylvia, she had this aha moment where she was like, wow, I actually don't have holes in my funnel. I actually missed the messaging. So now we're going to go back to the core training steps that we talked about in the beginning. The biggest problem is Sylvia was pushing the hormones when really her ideal client wanted weight. And so what I said to her is, if you do need to add something to your funnel, I would actually have a freebie that is about weight. And what you can do is add some videos to that so that you can connect the dots to weight, estrogen dominance, endocrine disruptors, hormones, sleep, hair falling out, thyroid. These are all just topics. These are what we call the topics that our ideal client not only is searching for, but also the elements of Sylvia's signature system. That's different than a signature program. That's different from a signature offering. This is for her in the list building, the awareness part, our workshops or our webinars, our challenges, our list building. The awareness is for her to explain to her ideal client, weight, and connect the dots of some of the underlying issues. She's going to, of course, focus on why do we need to do a 21-day hormone detox, because that's her low-cost core offer. She's clear in her list building on what was missing to teach and to attract her ideal client in what she's searching for, and then lead them to the solution. So when we're picking out our core, when we're choosing our core offers, when we're choosing our core workshops or core list builders, it's not just, oh, I really want to teach this. It's, who is my niche? What are they searching for? What are their problems? What is their pain? That's the big one. What's their pain? And then what, of course, is their motivator to buy? Because every person does have a myriad of different problems, but there's usually something that drives that woman to buy. It could be weight, even though she's got all these hormonal issues, because she feels insecure. Her intimacy is being affected. Her ability to be confident on that Zoom meeting call is being hindered. Her confidence to play with her children is lessening because she doesn't have the energy, because her mindset, how she views herself, her body shaming, her addiction to dieting and everything. And yes, at the core of it, it probably is hormone and gut and all these different reasons, but that's what is running her life. That is the story that is defining her 24 hours, 86,400 seconds in a day. And so when we pick our signature freebies, our signature workshops, these address these elements that your ideal client needs to know that truly showcase why you're a different coach, your ability to be vulnerable either in your own story, because that's where people really connect. Where you lead them is the call to action. It could be the list builder. It could be the workshop. It could be meet me here for a live. It could be meet me in this group. We're going to cover for the next 30 days X topic, because we're so clear. And if we're not clear, and this is extremely important, then we take time testing. And that's why I had a lot of different freebies, because I wanted to test. Did people want infused waters? Did they want detox? Did my mom need stuff on the moms that I worked with, food allergies for kids? The person that was attracted to me felt as lost and overwhelmed as I did. And in order to be a coach that becomes the expert and the influencer, that ideal client needs to know that we are never going to let them down. An example before we get onto the last part of this. She's going to know that I'm going to research the best omega. My whole business is not on this supplement company, but she knows that she can consistently hear from me on the mini solution. What that does is because I am connecting with her in the areas that she's interested in. And also what I'm known for. I was a gut specialist. I had parasitic infections, pylori, food allergies, heavy metals. My big why is I birthed my children with all of these health issues, even though I had done so much. My ideal client knows that I always talk about detox, natural solutions, and I will provide them and arm them with every question that they should ask their provider. They should ask their doctors in the health food store, because my mission and my goal of my business was to empower people with stuff that took me hours, years to look for, to save them the pain of the adrenal fatigue I experienced. I talked about adrenal fatigue, talked about candida, talked about yeast issues, talked about kid stuff, diaper rash, cradle cap, all of the areas where I felt frustrated, that I had to search endlessly for the truth. So to recap this, your list builders are a reflection of your consistent showing up and testing. I decided, wow, okay, so I need to have all these different freebies, little recipe guides that are gluten-free. I need to talk about going gluten-free. But at the end of the day, I work with people with gut, and many of them come to me for weight loss. I only learned that because I consistently showed up, connected with people, and they converted. They came in and personal messaged me. They direct messaged me. They emailed me. Even when I couldn't do automation, I had no idea how to do it. At the end, I would put my email. And I didn't wait for perfection, because I am a recovering perfectionist. I didn't even have a business email. I said, here, click here, rachelfeldman1@mac.com. I did that at the end of at a blog post. I gave people a very simple way at the end of emails. I said, hit reply if your probiotic is not working, because these are the things that I experience. I brought my ideal client always into my life. And that means that I hit the live button even when I was scared. I created videos even when I didn't know how to host them. So I created them on YouTube. I would put the link right in the email or right on a download page. I did it anyway. I pitched my workshops even when I didn't have them made, because I got clear in what my ideal client wanted, because I would, as any beginning coach, I used my personal page as more of a business platform. I didn't sell on my personal page. I educated, I informed, I would wear, the girlfriend hat, meaning I would talk about the stuff that was TMI, because I knew that nobody else was. And I knew in order to set myself apart from the rest of everyone else talking gut, autoimmune, food allergies, weight loss, I had to create a different signature process and system. And that my ideal client knew that I would update that continuously. A lot of C words: consistency, connection, the content that I put out there, because she knew that I struggled forever to find the best parasite, supplements. She knows that I will consistently, another word, talk about the genetic testing and the tests that we had to take to get to some of the information that, thank God, I got to. And so my ideal client knew that I was saving her or him or that family so much money, because I had gone through that hell, my own hell, which is going to be different from yours. Many of us don't share enough of our story in the awareness and connection part. So even your best list builders, they may even be your signature one that features your whole business and gives a insight into your whole business, and you've worked your tail off, but your ideal client doesn't even know what you do, because the list builder is not where just people connect. It's where we convert into the freebie, but then we still need to convert them to the paid offer. Even if you're working one-on-one virtually, I used the digital space because I knew that my commitment to myself, I had no idea my niche. I knew my story. I didn't know what people wanted because I hadn't coached yet. But as I got more clear, and I would see from my Facebook posts on my personal page, I would share something about food intolerances, belly bloat, gut issues, skin, hair falling out. I would share stories that I felt were relevant, because this business was not about me. It was about really speaking to my ideal client in the exact places that he or she was struggling. And I did work with men and women. My goal was to work with families and to change the game and the genetic makeup, the stuff that had been passed on through education. I used to say to my clients all the time, I want you to make your family tree. I want you to draw out your family tree and put every disease, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, that you see, your grandmothers, your sisters, your brothers, cousins, aunts, uncles. What do you want to change? I would then ask that question. What do you want to change? And before they would answer, I would say, let me tell you my why. Let me tell you the things that have been in my family. EBV, I got bit by a Lyme tick. My mother and my brother did as well. Ulcerative colitis, food allergy, all the stuff that I said, I would say, that's why I do this. And my job is, I'm going to empower you with the knowledge. I'm going to send you books. I'm going to send you checklists, and I'm going to send you a lot of articles from Aviva Jill Ram, Josh Axe, Paul Pitchford, John Douillard, Mark Hyman, Terry Walls, and the list goes on, because I didn't just have one book, one diet, one protocol. That's actually the exact reason I became a coach, is that didn't work for me. How many of you, drop a one if somebody has ever said to you, oh, here's this one protocol for urinary tract infections. It works for every one of my clients. I happen to be the one that it never worked for. How many of you have gone to somebody and they say, this is the exact supplement that has fixed all of my clients' liver issues? I had high liver levels, AST and ALT. I was always hypoglycemic, and I was actually hospitalized a number of different times and worked with a number of different hematologists and even geneticists as a young child. I was active. I was healthy. I was on a swim team. I was an athlete, but I would pass out all the time. I would get nauseous and my belly hurt a lot. I had a lot of, skin issues, but I still was a happy, healthy kid. Like many of us had dyslexia, still do, focus issues, felt that I was dumb, really struggled in school and didn't even make it out of college, even though I went to 4 top ones because I struggled taking tests. It wasn't until 18 that I was actually diagnosed, thank God, by somebody that I was dyslexic, because my college advisor, not anyone else, my college advisor was the one that said, your IQ is so high. I don't understand why you're bombing your SATs. And it was him. It wasn't the gastro. It wasn't at CHOP, although CHOP is amazing. It wasn't at, all of the different hospitals and universities, because thank God I grew up in Philly with the best people. But we all slip through the crack. We can say it's the system, but the truth is, unfortunately, the way that the system is built, the way that doctors don't get enough time anymore to spend with their clients, to look at the whole big picture. That's why with the rise of functional medicine, it started opening up our eyes into the roots. Unfortunately, for many of us, that was a little too late. Pathogens, fungus, biofilm, all the things that we know now, microbiome, the effects of Lyme, EBV, the information that we have today, and I'm at 45, doesn't help me when I was at 14 and had my first ulcer, put on Prilosec. Didn't help me when I was diagnosed with asthma at 18 and was on theophylline and was on prednisone and was on back-to-back medicines, because as the asthma got really bad and what I call the trash can spilled over, because once the asthma got bad, everything got bad. And I lived on prednisone for years. I wish that somebody would have said, hey, let's do a food allergy test. I wish that the gastroenterologist that I worked with at Jefferson would have known about Florister. I wish that I didn't hear things like, at 15, Rachel, we've never seen, that was at Hahnemann. We've never seen intestinal issues like this. You're completely dry in your intestines. So we're going to put you on this hydrating. It was another medicine. Medicine isn't bad. Medicine is a fix and it's a Band-Aid, but I don't like Band-Aids. I like to find out why. I'm a why person. That's why I'm an overthinker. That's why I'm an overdoer. My son is the same. We are on a search constantly for the truth, the why, and in acceptance of anybody's truth and anybody's why. So fast forward to the asthma and the living on prednisone. I'm living on a number of different other steroids because the prednisone stopped working. I was on life support twice. And that wasn't even the worst of it, because once 26 hit and I was at the best time of my life, building this business in commercial real estate, finally found my place in the world and something that I felt I was really good at, because I had changed my diet. I started doing allergy elimination diets, which is why I created the detox, because I couldn't find one book, even though Linda Page and Louise Gittleman, Kim Schneider, John Juilliard, Paul Pitchford, and every other person that I've done detox and elimination, Liz Lipsky, research with, I couldn't find one AIP, FODMAP, anything that fit to really do a long elimination, because it was Liz Lipsky that changed my life when I became a coach and said, wow, why didn't I know this? But back in that 26 time when I had great stress in my life, great stress, that was enough to just, the trash can spilled over. Remember, genes load the gun, environment pulls the trigger. Genes load the gun, environment pulls the trigger. I had heavy metals, I had pathogens, I had pinworms as a child nonstop. So this was not my first rodeo. The warning signs are always around us. always. We don't just wake up with disease. We don't just wake up with cancer. Emotionally, spiritually, physically, metaphysically, family constellation work. There is so much that goes in to being healthy in this world. Like Michael Pollan said, this isn't your grandmother's world. This isn't even anymore your mama's world. This isn't even mine. My kids, and the reason I became a coach is I was so blown away by how toxic this world is. In the air we breathe, the everything. So at 26, the trash can spilled over. I stopped pooping. My poop was yellow, the scary yellow, green if I was lucky. And that sent me on searching constantly. There was dial-up. Dial-up. So instead, I traveled into every health food store. A scene in Philadelphia was a lifesaver. So was Chinatown. I was working with people, Chinese herbalist, a bunch of different people in Chinatown that spoke no English. And that was that was because when I was diagnosed with very high mercury, heavy metals, all these different issues. And one chiropractor said to me, which I love standard process, maybe about only 2 supplements. He said, I know you just did 5,000 on tests, but this is going to fix you. And he said, same thing. We've never seen somebody with a pH level that is not healthy. We've never seen somebody with highest mercury levels. We've never seen somebody with highest liver toxicity. We've run every test and we don't know. And I said, I don't have the money for that. I borrowed this money from my mom. I was in commercial real estate. I borrowed it. I was like, I don't have it. And that's when I drove back into Philly, into Freshfields, which is now Whole Foods. And I bought my first book, which was Paul Pitchford. And I studied that. Somebody just asked me in my membership, what were your life-changing books? And I studied that book. And I tell you this because your business, your offers, your list builders, your talks, your social media posts, your blogs, your lives, they are for your ideal client to save them that pain. And so I started talking about all these issues, not with a digital marketing strategy. Keep in mind, 10 years ago, we didn't have platforms. We didn't have social media schedulers. We didn't have opt-in pages, all these choices, click funnels, lead pages. We didn't have all these different CRMs, which if you don't know what that is, it's like MailerLite, MailChimp, Entreport, Infusionsoft, Active Campaign, MailerLite, all the things that coaches ask a lot. And you should ask. You should, say, what is the easiest one? I believe it's MailerLite, ConvertKit. I like ones that you can come in and pay as you build your list. I don't think that anybody needs anything fancy in the beginning. I didn't know how to use a CRM, which I had MailChimp, and I didn't even know how to connect it to PayPal. So I didn't. I thought always about, and that's 30 stories I just shared with you. Those are also called micro stories. Those are the stories that are essential for people to connect with you. They don't connect with the freebie. I mean, it's imperative and it's important to have a freebie, but they connect with you. People buy people, not products. People buy people, not products. And so in that connection, in those stories, I could tell you 5,000 more, 10,000 more, because I do have 86,400 seconds in a day, just like you. And I do have all those, I wish. And in the beginning, I had no idea how I was going to build this business or what I was going to include. All I heard in IN was Robert Notter saying, build your list. And I would sit there and say, I know he's saying this, but like, how do I do it? So to recap all of this, which I think I said once before, is this. You write down the pain. My niche is people come to me for. I guarantee that many of your friends, way before you even became a coach, or maybe you're trying to up-level your business, or maybe you've come back into the game. People always ask you, I would say, some standard questions, because most often they will ask us things like, how do you stay fit? How do you lose weight? And they're questions that we don't listen to because we're very busy focusing on a lot of different platforms. Again, not that they aren't essential. Focus more on connecting with people, hearing, studying if you do post on your personal page or in a group or in a poll on IG or on an email or on the forum that you have when somebody schedules with you one-on-one. Acuity, practice better. I don't care what you're using. Start asking questions. It's those questions and the answer is the pain. The pain is the product. When I started to then get extremely clear, I realized, well, I'm talking gut health, but my ideal client doesn't even understand that acid reflux is a sign of gut imbalance. They didn't understand that skin issues, because not everyone was like me. And that was the big aha moment. I also had to stop saying, I want to build this business here around this topic. And I had to start reframing that to say, what is my ideal client intentionally searching for? Let me ask questions. Let me take the advice that every school says, but we think that there's a Band-Aid and a quick fix. Let me actually poll people, use a SurveyMonkey, which is surveymonkey.com, a jot form. Let me go with some cheap, inexpensive ways to get clear on my ideal client. Let me actually do the market research. Let me dive into that area instead of exhausting myself, feeling frustrated in all these other areas. Let me focus back on my why. So I started with, I had some of the same freebies we have at yourhealthcoachbiz.com. I made training series. That's just my night videos, guys, to go with PDFs. It's not a overcomplicated thing. And if you don't know how to make a training series, I have that on, if you go to rachelafeldman.com and you go to the Start Here page, you will see a bunch of trainings. And then it will link you to a replay page that we have that I showed you how to take one PowerPoint and make trainings. Also, your list building isn't just in your call to action. It's when you go live. It's when you pitch to a podcast and you say, hey, I would love to come on and talk about how perimenopause relates to weight loss or unexplained weight gain, how estrogen dominance. Hey, can I get on your podcast? I have this 5-day toxin-free challenge because I work with women who are struggling with mystery illness, unexplained weight gain, and hormonal imbalances. We then have the content to actually feel comfortable to pitch to people, comfortable to pitch to doctors, comfortable to pitch to gyms, comfortable to pitch to yoga studios, comfortable to pitch anywhere, because we know the problem. The solution becomes our mouth, the stories, the micro stories to connect, and most importantly, bringing them back to what we discussed earlier, which is the real estate. A blog can house a video. A blog can house images, your personal story, pictures of yourself. It could even have case studies. And if you don't have clients yet, it's still the same process. We all started with a zero list. So you pick your 3 freebies and don't sit there and overthink it. You have lived this life, or you have taken care of somebody. You're either a caretaker, you're a nurse, maybe your kid was sick, something inspired you. Or maybe you just fell in love with David Wolf and Chris Carr many years ago, which is fine, but then own that with conviction and get really clear on what is missing in the world today. It takes courage to rage against the machine. It takes courage to go against the grain. It takes courage, and it takes a lot of mindset work to say, I'm going to teach in these areas because this was missing. I wish, and then relate that to what your ideal client needs to hear from you, not what you want to give them. That's a big disconnect. It's a very simple fix, though. It's exactly this process. I knew that I needed 8 ways to restore your gut. I put videos with them. I knew I needed PowerPoints because everyone always, my whole life, but especially when I started coaching, they would say, how do you stay fit? How did you know you had food allergies? How did you know what foods to eat and what foods were inflaming you? They gave me every keyword. In our membership, that's what we call creating your word bank and your message bank. But in the beginning, just don't overthink it. Write it down on a pad or on a whiteboard. So I made my workshops, and I knew that because I attended 4 detox schools, that was important for me because I do believe we're all so different. And many people don't have the money for genetic testing, epigenetics, and even to hire functional medicine practitioners, because I know how much that can often cost. I do think testing is necessary for many different issues that go past what I call the basic fundamentals. And that's why we have testing. We have coaches to help educate, to make our clients aware, and to bring them back to their intuition, because we all have it. We just often gave it away, dimmed our shine, doubted ourselves. We let go of our gut intuition, our gut instinct. I knew that a lot of people were scared of detox, even though Alejandro Younger and Gwyneth Paltrow had made the word cleansing mainstream. So I had how to detox on the go, because I knew my ideal client was busy. She was either a mom, she was corporate, or she was just a go-go kind of gadget girl like me. I knew that, so I had one on, Gut Health 101, how to detox on the go. I also did a lot of mindset stuff, because the life of an autoimmuner is mindset. It's a lot of mindset, and the gut of the steps that it takes to truly recover aren't just in a pill or a food. The steps to really recover with gut issues is a lot of the mindset work on affirmations, reframing stories. So I gave everyone a Louise Hay book. I also worked with a lot of people with emotional eating, and I did make that my niche at one time, but I had to abandon it because it just hit home. Even though I never went to Renfrew, I was working with a lot of girls from Renfrew, and I felt like I was a therapist, and I felt that it was too much also for me. Woo! Talk about clearing some old stuff, sister. And so I had to abandon that. Didn't mean that I had to rebrand. Didn't mean I had to re-niche. I just had to explain the why. Hey guys, I was working with a lot of people with emotional eating and stress eating and binge eating. And I'm going to be working in these areas now. And I did lose clients, but I also made a decision that was about my mental health and mental wellness. And I didn't have to rebrand. Just like I said, I didn't have to re-niche. I just had to refocus. And I've gone through many testing of what I thought was my niche. The difference between a successful person versus not is the ability to pivot, to reinvent, to refocus, and look at a failure or something that maybe didn't go right as an opportunity, and not shaming and bashing and seeing imperfection. So I did have a lot of freebies on that. And then I really just moved into the stress of being a person in this world, the busyness, the lack of boundaries, the lack of empowerment, the lack of self-worth, all the stuff that we all struggle with. And I got really clear. That wasn't until like year 2. Didn't mean that I didn't make 13,000 year 1. I doubled that year 2, and at year 2.5, I made a very distinct decision to get extremely focused and hire coaches. And that's what really changed everything for me. Doesn't mean everyone needs to hire a coach, but I picked the coaches who had what I wanted. It wasn't about business. It was about niche. It was about ownership of myself, because I have a lot of fear issues around comparison and judgment, and my own, but of course, my own thoughts, of course, feed into my fear of showing up. And it wasn't until this one coach said to me, "This business has nothing to do with you, Rachel." Her name's Cora Poage. I wanted what she had, to show up to show her vulnerability, because that's why I start to get emotional. It's so crazy. But I was so scared that somebody wouldn't think I was perfect. That was my whole life. That was the autoimmune. That was the gut. That was the adrenal fatigue. That was the mind. That was my hell. With weight, with everything. Just thinking I needed to be perfect. It was from the 17 magazines to the Vogue to whatever. That's all the machine and the system. And that's the beauty of coaches, is we get to bring our clients back home to their vulnerability, to the letting go of the shame and the guilt, the deadly sins. So yes, I know I've made I went long with this one, guys, and I want to say I'm sorry. But the truth is, nobody talks about the behind the scenes of what it takes emotionally to build a business, physically, the work that it takes, and the letting go of guilt and being able to pivot really fast, because that is why Marie Forleo is successful. That is why Tony Robbins is successful. The ability to pivot over time. And so I started to get really clear and had the courage to show up with conviction and to not apologize, which I have a tendency, because I'm a people pleaser, recovering that too, a tendency to say, oh my God, I'm so sorry, and to dim my shine because of whatever that story is. Insert the blank. So it was at that time that I made a commitment emotionally to dedicate myself truly to this business, because I wanted to go back to commercial real estate every second of the day, to that multi-six-figure business. I had people pitching to me in Florida because we had moved from Philly, saying, join my team, Rach, here's what I can offer you. And it was at that 2.5 years that I said, I'm done looking back. As Gary Vee says, it's going to hurt my head. It's going to hurt my neck. And I just said, I'm all in. Not I'm all in and, oh my God, I'm so worried to show up and I'm so worried to hit the live. And what are people going to think of me? I'm all in. And that is what I call the ultra marathoner mindset. It's knowing this isn't a sprint, it's a marathon, but it requires consistent action, daily action. And truth be told, sometimes that hustle, as many of you seen, can take you down, because we're trying to handle all these aspects of our life. Some of you are 9-to-5ers, some of you are autoimmuners, some of you are spoonies. You're doing this from bed like Terry Walls. Some of you are just sitting in your own stuff, the old stories. We all have a full life. And the truth is that sometimes it appears really easy because we live in a world of filters. We live in a world where we think that we have to be perfect. So that's what we see on all these digital platforms. We are in a new era right now. It's very exciting. It's an era where it's eyes wide open. Talk your talk and walk your walk. Walk your walk and talk your talk. And that's why when I said I was going to go all in with no hesitation, I said, that's it. I know the workshops I need to teach because I know this is a place where people don't understand detox. I made a different approach to weight loss and I connected it to gut and toxins. I talk constantly about the lymphatic system. Nobody else was. The people that I admired were, and I was like, wow, this is such a missing piece of the puzzle. I then further started, I created my own detox for my business, Rachel's Wellness. And I used that content as information for my teachings. I talked about food and mood. I talked about focus. I talked about everything, but I always relate it to gut, detoxification, weight loss, and natural solutions, because that was the empowerment, the mindset part, the affirmations, the work, the crystals, the chakras, all the cool stuff that we all do. All are cool. Tinctures, tonics, brews, our oils, the the stuff that we do. And because of that, because I made a commitment to stop looking at other coaches, I made a commitment to stop comparing sales pages and websites because I didn't have the money. We were 60 grand in debt when I started this business, and we had lost my husband's. But I made a commitment to focus more on the pain, my why, because my why was the only thing that stopped me from not quitting. I think I'm emotional because I see so many coaches who are so brilliant get stuck in what I could have easily stepped away from, like walked away. And it's not a special skill set, and you don't have to look a certain way or be a certain way. There's just a commitment to go all in and to let go of fear and to step into faith. Fear and faith cannot exist on the same bridge. They just can't. It's impossible. And I don't mean faith like Les Brown says. It's not faith in religion. It's faith in self. Even when you're scared. My practitioner that I've been working with for the last 8 weeks, because I am all in to change my life and to let go of fears and stories. It's not the first time. It's not the first time I've done this work. I did EST when I was 17. I clearly was feeling pain, let alone all the stories that I told you about. Pain, sadness, fear, anger, frustration, all of the organs, the emotional aspects of the organs of the body, lungs, sadness, kidneys, fear, liver, anger. This is all the work of Louise Hay, all the work of every person that I have ever hired to bring me closer, to come back to myself. The person I'm working with on NET is we're working on having the courage to commit to every area of life without overthinking and overwhelmed, because it's in that I push my adrenals. It's in the hustle, in the fear that my adrenals get pushed. And that's not how we have a successful life. The ultra marathoner mindset knows it's going to be tough. It's like birthing without drugs. It's like running a marathon and you're like at mile 10, why the hell did I do this? Mile, every mile, you're like, what? And then you find this place that only exists when we trust. Because in that place is where we actually are rebirthed. In that place of uncomfortableness, as my homework with a lot of different homework that I've been doing in hypnosis and NLP and NET with her. It's work I've done before. It's work that I let life get busy, and I didn't do it as much. That's why we have coaches. That's why we have coaches to bring us home. People don't just buy from us because we have a signature program that we spent 20 hours creating, just like the detox that I created. People don't buy me because of that. They buy from me because they've connected, because my freebies, in all different formats, audio, PDF, checklists, handouts, we test those because we don't even know. Digital marketing is an assumption. We don't even know how our ideal client processes information. And furthermore, most business coaches don't talk about the updating of that roadmap in communication, because we change. Our habits change. Uncertain times can come in. We process information differently. We leave certain platforms and go to others for a myriad of different reasons. That's fact. That's digital marketing. Feelings often get in the way of great strategy. The biggest dilemma for the soulful entrepreneur, the empath, the feeler, the sensitive person, and even the person who has a more strategic approach is you have to bring both together. It's soul selling. It's selling from the deepest place of the heart where we feel, and that pain is instantly there. When we all embrace the yin and the yang, the flow of the water, the flow of Mother Earth in our business, we can feel, and we can also do it with strategy. Those who just come in with so much strategy, they make it for a little, but they usually don't sustain in business. And they also have such strategy that they're not able to pivot in the flow, because change doesn't always make sense. Change is sometimes the intangibles of what we feel. The tangible is, of course, looking at the stats on Instagram. I'm looking at the stats on Google Analytics, looking at the stats on your Facebook, look at understanding algorithms, using different apps for all these kind of fabulous stuff that we all have on our phone, when to post, all these different cool apps. The connection has nothing to do with any of that. I'm sure you agree. The connection is in the soul. The connection is in remembering our why, the pain that got here, and deciding to go all in. So my freebies were reflection of exactly what I did in my life, the teaching, the behind the story, the connection part, maybe what I see in the world that I so desire to change. Like what I said with the 17 magazine. Yeah, it's not just dieting. It's the mindset of dieting. It's what we're fed in the system. It's that every girl reads those magazines and says, but I'm not that tall, but I'm not that pretty. And yet it's Photoshop, but we don't know that as a child. So we're imprinted. We see life through these stories and what we've been fed. It's not just one part of the system. And that's why, as a coach, I know that my deepest why, what is and still is, to educate. And so my freebies, the gut, it was detox, it was weight loss, it was gluten-free, it was a lot of different things, but I converted and closed on anything that had a video because people connected with me. My workshops, my webinars, live, face-to-face, online, teleclasses, GoToWebinar, we didn't even have Zoom. We didn't have Be Live. We didn't have all of this. We had our mouth, and we had to practice at that. So if you're struggling with your message, join Toastmasters, put yourself on a video challenge, unlisted, do a video a day. You got to practice what you want to teach. We don't just do an evergreen webinar, pay somebody $2,500 to make the whole freaking funnel, and that works. Or even a low cost offer or a ClickFunnels. It works because you know what you want to teach. And so that person connects with you. They watch again. That's why we have the email marketing sequences. Each of those emails tell a little different story. And guess what? You know the story. Don't feel overwhelmed that you don't have a copywriter. Just speak. Shoot some videos on loom.com or any different platform. And guess how I learned that? Because I Googled and I went all in. And I knew there wasn't going to be this one person who was teaching me everything. I needed to be empowered in my business the same way I needed to be empowered in my health. My core offers, my low-cost offers were baseline. For me, that's why I had a detox, because people came to me with 40 different things, most completely out of my scope. And I realized that most human beings, myself included, we often get busy, and so we fall short. We don't do the core thing. So I had a detox, and then I had a paleo program. That was more of like my mom program. I added another program at my low cost offer because I had a lot of moms that really just had kids with food allergies. That was a big part of my business. And so I added a healthy, gluten-free, no cheese, or if it did have things like Parmesan cheese, which is a little higher in glutamate, worked with a lot of kids with spectrum issues. Then I had a swap sheet. And I also made videos for each of my one-on-one offerings because people are overwhelmed. I then, for each of those specific low-cost offers, had different graduation steps. Truth is, somebody who came on the detox, sometimes that person had adrenal, maybe it was gut, maybe it was mindset. I did have those offers. For my ideal client, I wish that I was like many coaches that are able to have one program, because that really works when you have a single focus, or that you're working with a niche that is just what I call simple weight loss, simple metabolism. Or maybe you take one program and you create a lot of different sub bonuses, subsections that address some of these other issues. I found that with people who have an autoimmune, mystery illness, mindset, gut, those were the four. There was always multiple layers of issues, just like Reed Davis has metabolic chaos. There was chaos with the people who came to me. And that's why I also cultivated an amazing referral network, because I started to develop teams and work with people. I wish this was a very simple process. And I wish that there was one training course that you could do that gave you years of the doing, the action part. But nobody can do that for you. Even if you're having a virtual assistant, a social media expert, a Facebook ad person, you have to do the doing. And that's the part that is the harder part, because it requires showing up, taking a chance, and having courage. Each one of you have that. It's just that often we don't think and we doubt. And we then go into hustle, adrenal fatigue. And similar to me, at different times, we let go of some of the most fundamental habits that keep us healthy, sane, stable, grounded in a world that completely makes no sense and has never made sense to me. And that is why I am that truth seeker. So I encourage you to simplify it. I talked about a lot of my personal story, because in the midst of coaches asking me about how do I create an offer, how do I create my business, what do I offer, and a lot of platform talk, we often don't hear what really happened and what it took and how hard it was to commit to be all in, even when I was frustrated, even when 2 people showed up to my low-cost teleclass, 2. Even when I fumbled and I messed up, it takes a lot of courage to continue. And that is the success mindset part of it. That is the entrepreneurial life. And even if you're working for somebody else or you co-work in a doctor's office, you still are promoting yourself. Take more time to get clear. Ask people. I guarantee people you've asked, you've done this research, you just didn't apply it as clearly as you should have, because we think there's a fix. I just want to come in here and tell you that you're not alone and that we all go through this painful process. I've had many clients who were like me, who they signed up for coaching with me and they cried the whole time, just like I cried with my coaches, because it takes that vulnerability and the release of shame and guilt and fear and comparison, imposter syndrome, and all of that to be a leader. And it's not always easy. And it's scary, because you are raging against the machine and going against the grain. But that is what not only you deserve, but your ideal client who is in the exact situation or something similar to what you experience. She or he, as my first coach said to me, if I deny them of my stories, I'm literally denying saving somebody's life. Not in a all-knowing or ego way, but it was the people who were in my life who shared from such an authentic place that gave me courage to share my voice, gave me what I looked for my whole life, which was to know I wasn't alone and that I wasn't crazy. And so if you do have questions, we're here for you in any way. If you think that anyone's got it figured out, they don't. It doesn't mean that you show up and you just vomit your story everywhere. Well, you sit, you say, what are the questions people have always asked me? What do I really feel that's missing in the world? Why did I go through my path? What does my ideal client look like? What are she or he struggling with in this current time right now? How is every area of their life being affected emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, their daily habits, their self-care, every area? What do they desire to change and why? What drives them to actually make the change? Do they want to make the change for self, for their children, for their sister, their mother? What in their genetic tree are they so scared could be passed down? Diabetes, cholesterol, heart attack, suicide, mental health, mental wellness, depression, EBV. What diseases? Emotionally, physically, spiritually. That's what drives people. Doesn't mean that we have every topic on that. It means that we provide the information. We help people to come out of the darkness, because it's scary to really step into the light with eyes wide open and a different pair of glasses. If you're struggling with your own stuff, I highly encourage you to either hire a coach, work on stuff. We all have it. Some of us a little more than others, and to be gentle on yourself and to free maybe even your own guilt. We all have it. Let go of the stories that are running the show. We all have stories, as Tony Robbins says. What story is running your today? You're right now, this second. And if you don't change this today, what will you lose in 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years? It's no different with our clients. We are our client. The more that you're clear on what drives you, where we fall short, because we all do in life, the more you will connect with your client, even if you don't have automation, platforms, Facebook ads, and everything else, all the bells and whistles. I love you guys. I will see you later. It's been a pleasure to be here today. I know I thought this would stop at 30 minutes, and it didn't. I woke up today overwhelmed with just feelings, feeling the feels. And this is what came out of my mouth. All my heart, all my soul, and everything that I desire, not only for the world, but for us as coaches to honor, to see, and to decomplicate, de-overwhelm ourselves, because we are the change. Every one of us, everyone who breathes, everyone who has a voice, we get to do that. And that's why we all became coaches. No matter what school, no matter what modality, no matter what your viewpoints, each one of you, whether it's raw or paleo, there's somebody who needs the raw, there's somebody who needs a paleo. Maybe you're like me. You tried everything and you realize it's all of it. Either way, you are unique, and your ideal client is going to be attracted to you, not me, you. I love you guys. It's been a pleasure. We can all do this. Giving you a virtual hug. If you're hearing this on audio, I'm hugging right now. And if you're seeing this, then I guarantee you can see my face, feel my soul. And that's what this is all about. Bye, beautiful people. I will see you guys later.